everyone, it is Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Thank you for joining me in my little corner of the internet where I talk all things planners, fountain pens, and fountain pen inks. Today I am doing my monthly pen and ink pairing so that you can help me choose which ink I'm going to pair with this pen. So this pen is from Hogtown Pens, and this is the Swansea large model, and the resin or the acrylic is the Impressionist one. You can see why I decided to choose this one for pen and ink pairing, because look at all of the different colors that are in here. And even when I tried to pull inks to match with this, I was having a hard time figuring out which ones I should pull. So I was able to pull 10 different inks that could possibly go with this pen. And it's a mix of new inks, but also inks that I've had in my collection for a while. And this helps me to really appreciate my collection, but also use up what I've purchased, as well as balance using up what I've acquired. All right, just look at the resin one more time. And don't worry, I will show the pen again once all of the ink swatches are dried. And then I will be swatching here in my Hobonichi A5 notebook with 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. And I will be doing my sandwich bag swatching again. And I'll also be writing the name with the Kakimori stainless steel nib. Let's get started. The first ink I'll be swatching is Diamine Blush, and this was sent to me by a pen friend. And I'm always grateful for pen friends who send along ink because, one, I think it's a win-win situation. You get to use up some of your ink, but then your pen friend doesn't have to buy a whole sample, but it also allows them to try other inks that they might not have otherwise been able to try. And I'm always grateful for friends who want to share. So then I'm going to use my sandwich bag. If you've never used the sandwich bag before, basically just a little old sandwich bag, and make sure that it is very crinkled up because you want the ink to get in all those little crevices. So I'm actually going to get this held down with a clip. There we go. And look at that. Beautiful. Now it's turning out more red than the pink that I thought it might be. So I don't know if this is necessarily going to be the best match for this, but you never know. It's always fun to be able to play with your inks in this way. So this is Diamine Blush. The next ink is from the Inkvent calendar, I think from 2023. This is Diamine Olive Swirl, but please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not great at keeping track of what year each of the Inkvents are from, but I love this ink. Now, you wouldn't think that this would first go with the pen, but there are tiny hints of green in there. And you do have to look closely to be able to see it. Sorry, I'm just trying to organize myself here. But you do have to look closely to be able to see it. And lifting up the bag so that I can use the ink that's left over to create different shapes. I think in one of my videos somebody said that the ink splatter looked like a horse or a dog. And I'm going to say it again. It's like the Rorschach or Rorschach. Oh, I'm using the wrong one here. The splatters that are used in, it's not psychology, but psychiatry. All right, so this is Diamine Olive Swirl. I love the base color of this, and then combined with that green shimmer, stunning, absolutely stunning. If you haven't tried Diamine Olive Swirl yet, this is actually an Inkvent full-size bottle that I would buy. The next ink is Diamine Snow Globe. I purchased this from Venice a couple of months ago, and if you do purchase from Venice, I do have my discount code Karina10 that will get you 10% off any purchase from Venice, and they have a huge ink selection. Now, I'm not the type of person who likes surprises, so I'm never going to purchase the full Inkvent calendar, but I do like watching people's videos when they ink all of the different days, and then I make my decision about which sample I'm gonna try. So this is Diamine Snow Globe. I don't normally go for blues, but the shimmer in here, you've got blue and then there's some chromo shading happening. There's a little bit of purple or pink in there, and then you've got the blue shimmer. It's stunning. And I'm actually, yeah, where's the pen? Like, I'm already looking at it and I think that looks really, really lovely. Okay, no, I'm not making a decision yet. That's Diamine Snow Globe. The next ink that could possibly go with this pen is Ferris Wheel Press Peter Moss. And I did say that there isn't a lot of green in here. Oh my gosh, my hands today, I can't really open this, hold on. That the green in the pen is not as prominent as all the other colors, so you wouldn't really expect to put green in this pen and have it match. But what I like about these pen and ink pairing experiments is that you also find the unexpected, or the underdog pairings that you wouldn't think would work, but they ultimately do. I'm trying not to make them all look like animals. There we go. But sometimes they just turn out that way. I love the dark green of Peter Moss. One of my favorite greens. No, not Diamine. So used to writing that. So oh gosh, Ferris Wheel. Sorry. Press Peter Moss. My writing at the end of the day. Goodness, yeah, I love the dark green, very foresty green. So, so pretty. The next ink is Pilot Iroshizuku Ajisai. Please don't make fun of how I made the label. Anyway, I got this at our last fountain pen meetup, and I'm actually filming this on the Friday, and our next fountain pen meetup is tomorrow, Saturday, which I'm very excited for. I'm really grateful to have found a fountain pen group so close to home, but also are just the kindest and most welcoming individuals ever. Okay, I'm putting this in an ink sample vial holder because I'm so afraid I'm going to spill that. What am I doing? But they've basically welcomed me into their circle, and I'm so, so grateful. Okay, I love this because it's definitely a blurple, which you can definitely see. Oh, love that, which you can see in the pen. But also I have a thing for purples. I didn't think I'd like purple as much as I do. But in the last meetup, I think I took home 2 purples. So Pilot Iroshizuku Ajisai. I have tried this before. I have tried this particular ink before, and then I think I finished the sample, and I've been tempted to get a bottle of this for quite some time, but I keep telling myself, no, I don't need a bottle. I'll wait until this sample is finished and then I'll make a decision. So that is Pilot Iroshizuku Ajisai. The next ink is another Pilot ink. It's Pilot Iroshizuku Shungyo. And I didn't think that this would go, but there's also part of me that's like, pick something that you don't automatically think would go with this pen, and it may surprise you. And sorry if you hear that sound, that's me emptying my pipette, making sure that's clean. Oh, I thought I cleaned that part. Okay. And yeah, when it comes to the sandwich bag, I always do like less is more, because if you do lots, then it just turns into this one blob and you don't really get as many areas of shading because it just turns into one blob. So definitely less is more when it comes to these. So this is Pilot Iroshizuku Shungyo. One of the newer Pilot inks that came out in the last year or so, and I love this purple burgundy brown color. Really, really stunning. The next ink that I thought would go well is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukiyo. Now I decided to go with this blue instead of Shinkai because I don't know, I don't know what it is, but I'm not a fan of the blue black of Shinkai, although my husband loves that color. It's just not for me. I prefer the blue of Tsukiyo. It's not as black. Am I saying, like, I think that's the best way to describe it, that it's not as black as Shinkai, and the blue is just nicer to look at, I think. See, now that looks like a blob. And I don't really want it to look like a blob. I want it to have a little bit of dimension and character. There we go. I'm saying that I want my splatter to have dimension and character. Who am I? So this is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukiyo. For me personally, I prefer this out of the darker blues. I prefer my blue to look more blue than black, but then, like I said, to each their own, because my husband loves Shinkai. So Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukiyo. Next we have Robert Oster Copper. I received this at, I guess, a pen meetup a couple of months ago, and gosh, there's so much in there. And I loved the way this swatch looked on my friend's notebook page, and I haven't had a chance to use this one. I'm trying to balance out using my new inks with the inks that I have in my collection, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job of balancing, so making sure that my currently inked is a mix, like half of them are new inks and half are inks that I've had in my collection for a while that have been inked at least once. And that really helps me make sure that I'm giving an equal turn to both new inks as well as more seasoned inks. Robert Oster Copper. I think this is such a great match to the pinky areas in here, but we'll have to wait until that dries. So that is Robert Oster Copper. The next ink I have was kind of an oddball, but I thought, let's give it a go. It's Sailor Manyo Kuri. I love this ink so much because when you swatch it versus when you write with it, it's so different, and then it can be so different on all of the different papers as well. So I love this for all of its chromo shading properties, but also it's kind of like surprising qualities as well. It's like you never know what you're gonna get. Is it purple? Is it brown? Is it beige? Like, what is it? And you'd be surprised as well, because this is actually not really, I mean, it doesn't look very dark or saturated on the paper, but I've written with it with an extra fine nib as well, and it does write beautifully. So this is Sailor Manyo Kuri. Gorgeous. That one I'll definitely show you once it's dried because it's just stunning. Another ink from, I think, the same line is Sailor Manyo Akame, and unfortunately that one is basically sold out everywhere and it's not being produced anymore, but I've heard such great things about it, and I've seen some beautiful swatches of it, and I really want to try it. If anyone has Sailor Manyo Akame, let me know, because I will pay you for a sample. Okay, sorry, Sailor Manyo Kuri. And last but not least, we have Waringal Purgatorio. I feel like all the colors that I've chosen look so different, but at the same time, there's a lovely theme to everything here. So Purgatorio is another beautiful dusty pink, because, well, you know me. But also I was actually sent this sample by Waringal sometime last year, and it's just stunning. Oh, I'm not getting the splatter effect that I like. There we go. That's a little better. Perfect. I'm really getting into doing my splatter swatches now. just feel like they're so much more fun. Although, I mean, I loved doing the swatches with my Browse Ornament Nib Purgatorio. This is just so fun, and it's such a great way to see the shading properties of the ink. But you can tell, yeah, definitely a light dusty pink that goes with these like areas here that have a mix of just different colors. Absolutely gorgeous. And those are the inks that I think would go well with this pen. I'm gonna wait until they all dry and then I'll show you up close. All right, so the inks are now dry, so we can take a closer look and see how the ink compares to this pen. Just remember, this is what the pen looks like, and I'll zoom into each ink so you can see the parts that would match. So there we go, look at Diamine Blush. That part there, I think, really matches well. It shows off all of the dimensions just like in Diamine Blush. And this definitely dried a lot lighter than when it first went down. It went down more red and then it dries to this lovely pink, and it definitely matches to that part of the pen. But also there's a few parts up here that it matches to, and just in here generally as well. A really good choice. And then here we have Diamine Olive Swirl, and you're like, where the heck are you pulling that from? There's those tiny bits of green that are in this area here, and also a little bit here. And then there is a spot like right here. Don't know if you can see that, but right here, that's green, and that's where I'm pulling that from. And then just bringing that green area, I'm gonna go down to Ferris Wheel Press Peter Moss, and you'll also see how that green here matches with the ink as well. I mean, overall, not a match, but in those specific parts, definitely. Oh, and that part too for Olive Swirl. Yeah, and then we have Diamine Snow Globe. Just look at the way that that shimmer has dried, but also the chromo shading, so blue, purple, very, very pretty. And I look at this now and I think, does that blue really match? I don't know. Kind of, but not really now that it's dried. I feel like it's more of a combination of the blue area mixed with the pink, or if the two of them had a baby, that's what Diamine Snow Globe would be. Not the perfect match, but still really, really pretty ink. Then we have Pilot Iroshizuku Ajisai. I thought this would be a good one, but now that I see it, there really isn't too much purple that's happening here. I thought there would be a little bit more, maybe like in tiny areas like that, but I don't feel like it's maybe the best choice for this one. I don't know. I thought it was going to be, but now that it's dried, I don't really think so, which is unfortunate, but still really pretty ink. And then we have Pilot Iroshizuku Shungyo. I'm trying to find the parts that would really match with this, and now that I have it here, I'm like, maybe, maybe not. Kind of there, but not really. Maybe some parts in here, like the mixture of some of the acrylic in here. It's a really, really tough one. That's why I chose this pen to do this pen and ink pairing exercise with, because it's so tough, so tough. And then we'll go to Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukio. I think this matches the blue the best. Yeah, I definitely think this matches the blue the best out of all of the different inks, but also because of the little bit of red sheening that's happening, I think that also matches to these parts as well. Gorgeous. And then we look at Robert Oster Copper. I think actually Robert Oster Copper matches with these parts really well, the pink part here and then the pink part here. I feel like it's going to be very close between Robert Oster Copper and Diamine Blush. Those two have my heart for sure. And then we have Sailor Manyo Kuri. Now this one was a wild card, but I feel like this area with all of its different colors and some of the area here kind of remind me of this. And then this area as well, it's almost like the undecided area. It doesn't know what it's going to be, like in some of the more translucent areas too. I feel like Sailor Manyo Kuri would be an unexpected pairing, especially in some of those more transparent translucence parts. I feel like that represents that really, really well. And then we have Wearingeul Purgatorio. You've got some of the lighter pink areas here that I think would go really well with this ink. And then some of the lighter parts that are in here as well. It's such a gorgeous pennant, and I feel like there's so much that could go with this. You could ink this up with almost anything and it would still work. Okay, So after all that, have I decided? No. And I don't know what I'm gonna go for. What do you think is the best match out of all of these? I really love the theme of this overall page. I think it's very pretty. You wouldn't think these colors would go well together, but they do. And okay, I'm gonna say, oh, I don't even want to say a top 3. It's hard because these are all pretty, but I think if I were gonna choose it, either it would be Sailor Monukuri, Robert Oster Copper, Pilot Roshizuku Tsukio, or Diamine Blush. Although I do love Diamine Snow Globe. Maybe that's something I can put in a different pen next month. So tough. So tough. Oh, okay. But at least I have a page that I can use as reference when I decide to ink this. All right, that is it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this whole experiment and what you would ink in this pen. Thank you all again so much for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button and to subscribe. Have yourselves a fantastic day.